I was able to sit down and interview Bruce Lee's super collector and all-around cool guy, Jeff Chang. I first met Jeff at the Chinese Historical Society of America at his Bruce Lee exhibit, and I felt connected to Jeff because we both had similar stories and backgrounds with being bullied for being Chinese and with Bruce Lee inspiring us to stand up for ourselves. I was able to interview Jeff with my colleague and bestie, Lei Wang, in the collection room, which was absolutely mind-blowing. Jeff had some great stories to tell, and he also has a great speaking voice, I have to say. So it was really fun being able to talk to him. I hope that you enjoy the interview. Please hit that like and subscribe and give me the dopamine hit that I need to continue to do more interviews. And let me know what you think of Bruce, if you think he deserves the reputation that he has, if he was the greatest martial artist of all time, and if not, then who was, and if he's just overrated. I hope you enjoy the interview. Here's Jeff Chang.
One day, the son of the lodge owner came up to me and said, "Jeff, that Kung Fu guy died." "You mean David Carradine?" Kid said, "Yeah." That whole week, I thought that David Carradine died. When I came home, one of my sister's friends rang the doorbell and said, "Are you guys still sad that Bruce Lee died?" I said to her, "Bruce Lee died too?" I was in my bedroom and there's a special poster. I looked at the poster. It was almost like Bruce Lee was speaking to me. I had tears in my eye, and it's almost like Bruce Lee was saying, "It's okay, Jeff. I, Bruce Lee, am Chinese American. I, Bruce Lee, have probably faced even more racism than you have. And I, Bruce Lee, want you to be proud of your Chinese heritage." When I helped out to do that documentary on Bruce Lee called Be Water, many of my Bruce Lee fellow collectors called Be Water the worst Bruce Lee documentary that they've ever seen. They said, "We're not here to watch or to look at a history lesson. We're here to see cool photos of Bruce Lee, rare footage, etc." I go, oh boy. There are two versions of any martial arts. The true version and the fake one. Christian Wing Chun was fake. The guy's name was Ben Dur. He's a Wing Chun Sifu. When he came here, he brought some other Wing Chun Sifus, and they said, "Who's your Sifu?" I go, "Christian." And they went, I got a call from Warner Brothers in 1997, and they said, "Jeff, we heard that you were the owner of the Enter the Dragon suit." Those weights are definitely used by Bruce Lee, because at the Chinese Historical Society, I'm sure you noticed the dumbbells there. Well, that's only part of it. I have the rest right here.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it probably has his DNA, whatever. So
Yeah.
So they were gonna call him Bruce Lee, bring him over here, or bring him to CHSA and swipe.
Yeah.
Have you used them to work out since then?
No, because I'm tempted to, but what if I accidentally mess him up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it might be kind of loose or whatever, but I wanted the way that Bruce Lee had them when he used them.
Got it.
Yeah, this is only a fraction, because as a collector, this room first started out with tons of stuff bombarded, and then every time people came in, they go, I can't even see anything because it's so much stuff. So I just kind of put few or less stuff.
You had to curate.
Yeah. So people, just like at CHSA, everything's all spread out. It's all jumbled up, and it's like a crazy collector, right?
Well, what's amazing is you have so much stuff at CHSA, but then there's still all this great stuff here.
They have most of the stuff on storage, because they only took just some of my stuff I loaned to them, put it on display. But the other stuff will be ready whenever they want to switch over. But because CHSA is kind of unorganized.
Yeah, to say the least.
I think they're gonna do that.
Yeah. So for the stuff here, do you remember the first pieces that you got, or?
Well, see the magazine on the bottom there?
Yeah.
That's actually my very first Bruce Lee item that I ever got that started out my collection back in 1972. Yeah, so that is a very sentimental place. It's kind of crazy that some major collectors can't even remember what their very first piece is. I go, that's like standard. Every collector would know. And every collector will know where they were when they found out Bruce Lee died.
Yeah.
Some don't.
Yeah.
Or some will remember the exact movie theater that they went to when they first saw their very first Bruce Lee movie, but some don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the first
Yeah.
piece that you got.
Yeah, that's the very first.
It's true you bought this in Chinatown?
I know. Okay, so how that magazine came into my hands is that I had a neighborhood friend. It was two brothers, Larry and Leo, and they both brought over this magazine and told me, yeah, Jeff, you need to tell your dad to take you to a Bruce Lee movie. And even though I had seen Bruce Lee as Kato in the Hornet, I didn't recognize it because the Kato Bruce Lee looks much different.
Yeah,
than
he's got the whole.
Yeah, because his face thinned out, his hair or whatever. So I actually asked the stupid question. I go, before I asked my dad, can you tell me which one's Bruce Lee? They go, you idiot.
Yeah.
The one without the shirt. I made a trade with them, but I have no idea what I traded them with. I think it was for a couple of comic books. So yeah, so that started out my collection, and then I brought that to my dad and asked him if I could go to a Bruce Lee movie, but he wouldn't take me. Want to know why?
Yeah.
Because he said the Chinatown theaters were too filthy.
Wow.
He said, I don't want you to go there and then bring home fleas. And I said, I don't, I'll just put my feet up. And he goes, no. So it wasn't until Bruce Lee's movies were dubbed and released in downtown. My first one was actually at the Warfield Theater on Market Street. And after then, even though the Warfield Theater and a lot of those downtown theaters were filthy, I didn't say anything.
No,
I just
you sounded
there.
yeah.
Yeah. And those are some of the best memories of my childhood, spending with my dad, watching all those kung fu movies.
Did he enjoy them as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to, stereotype that all Asian fathers don't say much, which is kind of true.
No.
But just the fact that he was sitting there with me and we were both enjoying something that we both enjoyed together,
No.
was very special.
A different way of bonding.
Yes.
Was it Fists of Fury that was the first one that you saw?
Yes. That was back in April of 1973.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. After he...
No, he passed in July.
Okay.
So I saw my first movie just several months before he passed away. Because April, May, June, July, just like barely 3 months.
No.
And then all of a sudden he passed away and you go, what? I mean, it's like, we didn't have the internet back then. So, we just either saw it in the TV news or newspaper or whatever, or a friend would call you and say, yeah, I just saw the Chinese newspaper. I found out that Bruce Lee died. And then it's like, wow, this is a shock. Because before then, we were all anticipating watching Enter the Dragon because we all saw the pictures in magazines as coming soon. And we said, we saw the commercials and then all of a sudden passed away.
Wow.
So, yeah. So.
Do you remember the setting, how you were feeling the moment you learned about it?
Okay, so this is a weird part. When he died, we were on vacation in Lake Tahoe. We were staying at this lodge, and then one day the son of the lodge owner came up to me and said, Jeff, that Kung Fu guy died. I go, Kung Fu guy? You mean David Carradine? And then that Caucasian kid said, yeah, I think so. So that whole week, I thought that David Carradine died.
Who's the main actor in the show called Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Which Bruce Lee was up for the part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so of course I was still sad because I actually liked that TV show. And then when I came home, one of my sister's friends rang the doorbell and said, are you guys still sad that Bruce Lee died? And then I said to her, you mean Bruce Lee died too?
Yeah.
So, no, she goes, no, Bruce Lee died. Who do you think died? I said, David Carradine. They go, no, David Carradine didn't die. So it was Bruce Lee. And then after that, and it was in Chinatown, all the newspapers, tabloids, these magazines all bombarded all the stores with Bruce Lee and his death.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that, and I could have bought all of them, but I only got 75 cents a week for allowance, which only amounts to like one magazine. So, yeah, so some of those magazines I'm still trying to find, but those have become such rare collector's items because they're cheesy, cheaply made, but the print run was very, very small.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if I ever, so one time at CHSA, this guy, I think he's around my age, he said, I have some of these magazines I want to donate to CHSA. So he said, all right. And then before, okay, who used to be the one that was upstairs? She did the Palma. Yeah, she curated everything. And then I told Chrissy, I go, where are these magazines going? Because I looked at them, I go, wow, these are some of those highly desirable magazines. Chrissy said, oh, Palma has to look through them because the guy technically said, I want to donate them to the museum. So I said, oh no, come on, go on. So then finally, Palma finally took the time to look at them. And then she brought them to Chrissy and said, tell Jeff that he can have them. And then you want to know the reasoning why? Because a lot of them have Bruce Lee with Betty Ting Pei. Gunner. Yeah. And a lot of the titles in Chinese said Bruce Lee was killed by Betty Ting Pei while they're in bed or whatever. All these reasons.
Sensationalist.
Yeah, so Palma said, we do not want these type of magazines. I said, okay.
Yeah. So I guess I'll take them off your
So I took them all, and a lot of them were in mid condition.
Yeah.
And when I showed them to some of my big collector friends, they go, wow.
Yeah.
You just got like a gold mine there.
So, but this in a way works out where you're giving back, allowing the people to view your collection, you're providing tours, and then you got a little bonus.
Yeah. It's good. It's kind of like a bonus from the man upstairs, actually. So, yeah.
So, is it the case that, or why don't we back up and how did you get started, being a fan of Bruce?
Some collectors will lie because it makes them look better. So, I started collecting back in 1966 when the Green Hornet. I mean, the longer you've been collecting, the more prestige you have. I'm not going to lie to say that I also started collecting back then because I was a fan of the Green Hornet. But like I said, I didn't know Bruce Lee was Kato. Yeah. I just concentrated when he had that mask on. That's why I didn't recognize him when I saw him on the magazine.
Did you know he was Asian?
Yeah. I knew he was Asian, and then I knew that he had. My most memorable episode was the one where Kato fought Robin. Oh yeah. And then he kicked his butt. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, to see an Asian guy kick the butt of a Robin. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty major. So yeah. So I started out after that magazine. This was during the time when the Kung Fu TV series came out. Mm-hmm. So it was called the Kung Fu Craze, and everything was Kung Fu related. So of course, I slowly started to buy the magazines when I went to Chinatown because we went there every Sunday to visit my grandparents. And
do you know where they lived?
Yeah. We actually, when I was born, my parents lived with my grandparents on Stone Street, which is right by the Chinese hospital. Mm-hmm. So some people said, well, when I say the Chinese hospital was my neighbor, which is true. No, I lived on Stone Street, and Bruce Lee lived on Trenton Street. No, which is just a few feet down. Yeah. So technically, Bruce Lee could have been my neighbor. Yeah. But when we were small, we would play at Stone Street. We would play at Trenton Street, not knowing that used to be Bruce's house. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't find out until later on. So yeah, so those weekly trips to Chinatown every Sunday, I would buy a Bruce Lee magazine, and here's something funny. One of my friends who was Caucasian said, "Jeff, here's $5. Can you please get me the latest Bruce Lee poster magazine?" And I said, "Why can't you go yourself?" He said, "Well, I saw that movie where they have these Chinese guys hanging in the shadows of the alley with a hatchet." Yeah. So
he was scared of the hatchet.
Yeah. So I said, even though Bruce Lee shattered racial stereotypes, whatever, some still remains. Yeah. That. So I said, "Oh, okay, I'll buy it for you." So yeah. So in saying that Bruce Lee shattered stereotypes, I mean, is like he took an atom bomb. Yeah. And because it's not like a slow process. Yeah. Once Fist of Fury came on, it's like boom. Right. Well, I'm sure you saw the movie that he had that necklace. Yeah. And then he couldn't fight because he made a promise to his mom. But then once that tornado, yeah. And then but yeah, it was all these childhood memories that I have still resonating in my head, and I'm sometimes my wife complains. She goes, "You live too much in the past." No. And I go, "Oh, well, at least I remember the past, and she'll say, well, you remember something 50 years ago, but you can't remember something 50 minutes ago. So I say, all right.
Maybe some balance.
Yeah, balance. So yeah, so when you're married, you have to have that balance.
Yeah.
Where were the stores that you bought those things from?
They were spread out through Chinatown. They had my main one was on Waverly Place, at the corner of Waverly and Clay. I think it's a Chinese pharmacy now, but that one had a truly memorable moment there, because that one carried the most Bruce Lee magazines, and sometimes they would only have one, but they wouldn't sell it. They just put it in the window so they would entice people to go in to buy stuff. So one time I asked a lady, can I buy that Bruce Lee magazine in the window? She said, no, that's display only. I said, all right. So then the next week, we saw that the lady wasn't there. I think it was a husband, So I was there with my cousins, and then I had my cousins distract the guy. So I went to the window, because, to get the stuff, and you just slide that wind door and put the stuff there. So I slid it, reached in, got the magazine. I hurry up and brought up to the guy. He said, how much? He goes, 85 cents. I said, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's some of the adventures.
You did a heist. I bet you paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the store is still there. They still have that wooden sliding doors every time I pass by there. I say, okay.
We should go record we can have our footage. And,
Yeah.
wow.
You said now it's Chinese medicine.
Yeah. I think it's a herb store.
How much of your allowance at the time went to collection of Bruce Lee?
Basically everything, because I only got 75 cents a week. The magazines were exactly 75 cents. The magazine that I took was 85, so I had to ask my brother for a dime. So yeah, I mean, it's very cheap prices, but priceless.
Oh
Yeah, very priceless. And it's like I said, the paper quality is horrible. The pictures are fuzzy, but it's just a memento from the past. And that's something that I really like, because collecting is basically reliving your childhood.
No.
That's why a lot of collectors collect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the city first, and then you moved.
Yeah. So born in a Chinese hospital, lived with my grandparents for 2 years. Then we moved to the Richmond district, which of course was like Chinatown number 2, right? And then I had shared this story with you, that when I went to school at Lafayette Elementary, Presidio Junior High, so many Chinese were there, and there was never any hint of racism that I saw until we had to move to Daly City. Because when we lived in the Richmond district, it was basically 1 bedroom and 1 sunroom. And me and my brother and sister all shared 1 sunroom. So they had these townhouses or condos in Daly City, and the one my father bought had 4 bedrooms. I mean, they were dinky, but at least we got to have our own bedroom. But that was a very dark period of my childhood, because we moved in the summer of 1974.
And you were?
I was 13 years old, and it wasn't until the first day of school in the 8th grade where I was in total shock. I go, where's all the Chinese? So I got picked on, called every racial slur in the book. I was basically a walking target, because I stood out, being the only Chinese. So of course I couldn't figure out what to do. So in the beginning I would hide in the library. I guess because bullies don't like to be surrounded by books. Who knows? But that could only last for so long. So my mom started to notice whenever I would eat my meals, I would have severe stomach pain. So she took me to the doctor, and the doctor was very shocked. He said, I've never seen anyone so young. I was only 13 and had a bleeding ulcer. So as such, I had to go on a very strict diet for 1 whole year. Everything I ate was very plain. Ate a lot of juk, right? And before each meal, I had to coat my stomach with this really nasty, thick liquid that coated my stomach, but literally made everything tasteless. So one day, I was in my bedroom, and there's a special poster, only one poster that hung in my bedroom. I'm pretty sure that you guys remember that poster, which hangs at CHSA right now. Of course, I looked at the poster, and it was almost like Bruce Lee was speaking to me. I had tears in my eye, and then it's almost like Bruce Lee was saying, "It's okay, Jeff, because I Bruce Lee, am Chinese American. I, Bruce Lee, have probably faced even more racism than you have. And I, Bruce Lee, want you to be proud of your Chinese heritage." So, of course, I looked at the poster. I said, listen, Bruce, this is probably the darkest period of my young life. And I'm really going to need your help. And if you help me, I will pay you back one day. So that's why I'm the docent at CHSA, sharing his life story, how he impacted so many of us, and the deep impact, of course, that he had on my life. And my Bruce Lee room here is also another statement of my association with Bruce Lee, that I wanted to honor him in my home too. And this room has been visited by people from all over the world. And we have some very special guests. Bruce's widow, Linda, came to visit. Bruce's sister, Phoebe, came. Some of Bruce Lee's students came. So, yeah.
How was it having them here?
I would call Linda's visit the royal visit. Yeah. I mean, it's like...
It can't get any...
Yeah. In fact, so memorable that you're sitting in the actual chair she sat on when she was signing some of my stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because people said, why do you still keep that uncomfortable auto chair? I go, because that's the one Linda said.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I randomly got this chair.
Yeah. And then we had 4 little wooden TV trays. They all look the same, except the one that she signed it in had these dark marks like that. So I was able to pinpoint that, and it's okay, I'm keeping this one.
Yeah. I think when I first met you at CHSA, when I was going through the exhibit, I think what's notable to me is that we had a similar experience across time, and also with Bruce influencing me, because the town I originally grew up in, everybody was nice. The school was very congenial. I think they had a bunch of different kids there, and we were all friends. And then my parents moved to the Central Valley, and it was this agricultural hellhole that sucked. And I was the only, Asian kid. And Lei doesn't think I look Asian now, but I think I looked Asian enough back then. And I was relentlessly bullied. I got called chink constantly. People would do, the slant eyes and all of these things. And I hid in the library. I would just read books in the library, because one thing about bullying is it's not just that people are attacking you, but you don't have any friends. It makes it worse. And I just had a horrible time. And when I discovered Bruce Lee, it was like I had a role model to look up to who is Chinese, right, and was fighting back. And he inspired me to stand up for myself. And it made a huge difference. Right. Like I started flourishing compared to before by learning martial arts, learning how to stand up for myself. And so I think what I love about Bruce is the timelessness of, you grew up in a different era. You had this similar experience. I grew up over here, but Bruce still inspired both of us. Right. And so I was just really moved by your story. And I think that...
Well, John, I'm pretty sure that if both you and I didn't have someone like a Bruce Lee during that low point in our lives, we'd probably be really messed up. Yeah. Psychologically, probably depression, whatever. But he helped us to endure all this. Better than a school counselor could have. No. Better than, the professional help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prozac.
Yeah.
So on.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. I think it's so cool that you got to become a fan, but now have gotten to become the carrier of the legacy, and got to meet, Linda and Shannon, and being involved so much with that. And you just have a great collection.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, it's not like it's overnight. It's
Yeah.
years and years of collecting. But my my original goal back in the 7th grade at Presidio Junior High was to have the biggest Bruce Lee collection in my 7th grade homeroom, because everyone in the homeroom kept talking about, yeah, look what I got. Yeah, well, look what I got. And then the funniest part is once in a while people would be, sitting there probing and go, hey, that guy really looks like Bruce Lee. No, or that guy looks like Bruce. So one time I went like this.
Yeah.
But I didn't get called that, so oh well.
You mentioned that your biggest dream at the time when you were living in the Presidio house, that was before you moved to Daly City.
Yeah.
And you only got bullied after you moved to Daly City.
Right.
Is that when you started collecting Bruce Lee's?
Yeah. So I started collecting in 72. We moved in 74. So I had, I wouldn't say ammo or whatever, but I had stuff that I could look at and to help me out, because of course we didn't have the internet back then. You had your magazines, your posters, whatever, and yeah, it's just what I would say were kind of like tools, or or kind of like my medicine, my medicine or my therapy. If you feel bullied, just well, of course we didn't have VHS back then. We couldn't watch a Bruce Lee movie, so look at the pictures of him, look at the poster, and I did have one that I have, like a flip book. I said, okay, wow, it's like watching a movie at home over and over again. He flipping.
Was he kicking or?
He was swinging.
Oh, yeah.
Drugs. Yeah. I guess I was curious what inspired you to collect Bruce Lee's memorabilia even before your bully experience.
Yeah, well, like I said, that everyone wanted to one up each other in terms of Bruce Lee. And most of my friends, I could kind of guess, outgrew Bruce Lee. I could have easily outgrew Bruce Lee, but like I said, if it weren't for the traumatic experience, that really cemented it. Yeah, it became something not just collecting for collecting's sake. And it's kind of sad that a lot of major collectors are not Asian, Chinese, and a lot of them sadly only care about his image on a magazine,
Yeah.
his image on a poster. They don't care about the person Bruce Lee,
Yeah.
the legacy, the life that he had that inspired so many of us. Case in point, when I helped out to do that documentary on Bruce Lee called Be Water, have both of you seen that documentary?
I'm not aware.
Okay. That documentary was quite special because it was the only documentary that was filmed through an Asian American lens. The director was Asian American, and he told me that he wanted to do something different because all the other documentaries were done by Caucasian men, only at a certain viewpoint. He was going to add more of Bruce's struggles about being Asian American, trying to make it into Hollywood, racism, etc. Here's the sad part. Many of my Bruce Lee fellow collectors called Be Water the worst Bruce Lee documentary that they've ever seen. They said, what? I don't know why. He said, we're not here to watch or to look at a history lesson. We're here to see cool photos of Bruce Lee, rare footage, etc. I go, oh boy. So,
Wow.
So there's a big gulf between.
yeah. I mean, it's they could say, "Wow, I'm a big fan," whatever. Yeah, but only to a certain point. I mean, Bruce Lee was more than just a magazine.
Yeah.
more than just a dollar or whatever. He was a real person, just like us, who inspired us, and but he had something about him that made him extra special.
Yeah.
And there's also a book that's coming out. I don't know if you guys know this, by Jeff Chang.
Yes.
That one is in the same vein as Be Water, through an Asian American viewpoint. I started seeing stuff on the internet that was similar to the thoughts about Be Water. The worst one is this one guy who was a big Jeet Kune Do practitioner put 2 words or 3 words. 4 words. The book is racist. I go, racist? How? I didn't want to confront or whatever, but that's the type of opinion that's out there.
It's interesting you're in contact with different subcultures, because there's Bruce Lee fans and then collectors. And then, I had no idea that some set of these collectors are just interested in as a product almost.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if they thought of Bruce Lee as a real person, then many of them would not do some of the, I would say, buffoonery, or, some of them think it's funny to dress up in a coolie hat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so one time, this guy in New York, he had there was a book signing of with Jackie Chan. So he went there dressed up in a coolie hat and whatever. I go, what? And I remember seeing the image of Jackie. Jackie's got kind of looking at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to a non-Chinese or non-Asian, they might think that's like nothing.
Yeah.
Thinking that, that's funny, but at whose expense?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Wow. And when did you start training?
Training. Okay. So of course, we all wanted to be like Bruce Lee. We wanted to look like Bruce Lee. We wanted to exercise like him, dress like him, Bruce Lee haircut, etc. When I asked my parents, can I take some Kung Fu lessons? They said, well, the lessons are pretty expensive. We're only going to give you 75 cents a week. Either you save up to take the lessons, or, you make up your own mind. So I said, all right, because I found out how expensive some of the lessons are per month. So I said, okay, I'll teach myself by looking at Bruce Lee magazines and Kung Fu movies and try to copy, but, that don't work. But in the mind of a kid, you say, okay, well, I know Kung Fu, right? Of course, you could kick high, swing nunchucks or whatever. So, surprisingly, I didn't take any Kung Fu training until I was 44.
Wow.
So, which shows that it's never too late in life to start. Why I started when I was 44 in 2005. Do you guys remember a show called Bay Area Backroads?
No.
Okay, it was a show on Channel 4, and it was basically, this guy going through the Bay Area, doing stories on special places, businesses, restaurants, whatever. He did a story on a Wing Chun Kung Fu school in the Sunset District. So I go, okay. So I looked on, and this guy who was a teacher, his name's Chris Jam, he claimed to be Bruce's best friend. Okay, well, that's another story, but it got me interested. I go, okay, Wing Chun master in the Sunset District, friend of Bruce Lee. I mean, this is probably my calling here. So I went there to check it out, and then I said, all right. So I joined, and it was quite an experience, because there are 2 versions of any martial arts: the true version and the fake one. The Christian Wing Chun was fake, but I didn't know any better. So both of you know the TV show Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Okay. It's almost like taking Wing Chun from a Cobra Kai teacher.
Yeah.
That'll teach you, I want you to go out there and use what I taught you, And if you have any stories that you beat up someone, come tell us.
And this was Bruce Lee's friend.
Yeah, Bruce Lee's
Wow.
The teacher did not know that I was the biggest collector in the world. So he would spew out all these tales about him and Bruce. And I kept shaking my head. But I said to myself, well, he's my sifu, so I have to shut up, don't say anything. But got to the point where, because he actually made us fight like at least once a week. And I would come home with bruises or whatever. One time I almost broke both of my wrists. And so finally, when Lyndon Shannon asked me to be the tour guide for Bruce's 70th birthday in Chinatown, of course, right away I said, all right, no problem, I'll do it. But I only had like 3 places that I knew in Chinatown. So I remember my father once said that I have a friend that I play poker with. His friend actually knew Bruce Lee. I said, and he gave me the phone number. I never called it, but I said, I think maybe I should call it now. So I called him up. The guy's name was Ben Durr, and he's a Wing Chun sifu. And he really helped me in terms of many locations as of Chinatown, which I use in my tour, which people continue to use in their tours. But I mentioned to him, because I said, because when he came here, he brought some other Wing Chun sifus, and they said, who's your sifu? I go, Chris Chan. And then they went, what? They go, whose wooden dummy is in that room over there? I go, I bought her from Chris Chan. And then one of the sifu says, get rid of it. And then Bender was at least more diplomatic. He goes, well, at least the wood is good. So we got talking, and then Ben said that his son, Francis, teaches Wing Chun in the Sunset District. So I go, what? He teaches on Terrible Street, right across from the Safeway.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to Ben, do you think he would let me check out his school? So he goes, yeah. But he said, in the meantime, can I chi sao with you? So okay. So he goes, show me some of your Chris Chan stuff. So I do it. And then Ben was like just controlling me, actually making me move like a puppet.
Mm.
And then he goes, okay, try this, try that. And then I couldn't do anything. Because he said Chris Chan actually never learned from Yip Man, even though he said he was. And he said that the version of Wing Chun that Chris Chan does is wrong because it uses dynamic tension. In true Wing Chun is not about using force. Because once you use force, you're fighting force with force. Who's going to win? The bigger, younger, stronger guy. So I was using the dynamic tension, and then he was just like, whatever. So I said, okay, I think I need to take some lessons from Francis, who teaches the same way as the father. So when I went there, then I said, okay, no more Christian.
No.
Yeah.
Was it awkward?
Not quite awkward, but humorous, because once in a while they'll say, okay, Jeff, come here and show us some of that Christian stuff. And my sifu will use it as a example that don't do this, that once you tense up, just, right? Yeah, you could easily just move. And then my teacher kept saying, yeah, I would love to chi-sao with those Christians too. Yeah, because it's like,
It's going to be so easy.
yeah. So I've been training at Francis School for many years until COVID started.
Oh, yeah.
Then I had to stop because I'm taking care of my parents at that time, during the height of COVID. Then, things, life goes on. And then my teacher will once in a while visit CHSA and said, Jeff, are you coming back? Because sometimes he likes it when I'm the assistant instructor, whatever. And I said that, to my sifu, I'll use everything that you taught me because I wrote like tons of notes. I use those years to consolidate all those notes into 2 sheets. Because if you have too much, you can't focus. So I narrowed down all of my sifu's teachings into 2 sheets, and I focus on those and just kind of even whittle away at those, and then basically have like maybe 7 or 8.
You've distilled it.
Yeah, distilled it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, basically why I'm doing that is to simplify it.
None.
Because when you make, just like Brucey said, he said, it's not about adding clay to the sculpture, but, chiseling away. And then you finally get it to the simplest points.
Jeff, I'm curious, when you were bullied, was it just verbal insulting or was it also physical bullying?
Both. And both are bad. Because some would say, isn't the physical worse? I go, well, in terms of, getting hurt whenever, that's quite bad, but psychologically, sometimes that will last even deeper. So just to put it kind of in a nutshell, I'm sure, John, you can relate to me, is basically knowing where your place is. That you're not going to step over there because you know that you're put in a certain place. And basically putting your childhood on hold.
No.
So that's why a lot of stuff pre-Daly City, I put them, and I put them in some special boxes because those are before we moved. So yeah, so that's in addition to more therapy for me, just looking at all the stuff that I bought when I lived in San Francisco.
How long did the bullying last for you?
So the worst was, in the 8th grade when we first moved. And I thought it would get better because the next year in the 9th grade would be the start of high school. And I thought, okay, I think this might be like a new start. But there's this one incident that happened that was so bad that made the first day of school, it just set the tone for everything to come. So yeah, yep.
Do you want to share what happened, or is it too?
Yeah, it's quite bad.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I never even shared it to my wife.
Really?
Yeah, because it's something that But I know that it happened, and But
And it was the first day.
yeah, the first day.
Welcome to high school.
Yeah, welcome to high school.
Wow.
Yep. But I'm sure, John, you have a lot of horror stories too.
Yeah, I think one thing it feels in a way, a big part of the psychological trauma was how unfair it was. I think that I should have been worrying about studying or girls, whatever's going on in life. But it almost feels like prison in a way where you have to go in and watch your ass.
Yeah.
You're always hypervigilant. You're on edge. What's the next thing that's going to happen?
And you basically don't have any rights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like I'm looking at this sign, no dogs in Chinese allowed. And what you said about, so when my wife is a doctor, and so when at her medical school, they have pictures of all of the classes of each year. And so the further you go back, the fewer and fewer minorities, are in there. And I saw like one Asian person, one woman, one black person, or whatever. And I'm imagining how it must have been for them. Or Leia and I are giving tours, I think, of the Chinese who first came over here and when they're in these towns and getting literally attacked and driven out. And I think about, what did these people have to go through? Because what I had to go through sucked. But the further back you go, it's like these people were pioneers of what they had to fight.
Yeah, case in point, my father, well, first of all, let's go further back. I don't know if I shared this with you before, but my last name is not really Chinn. It's my paper name.
Uh-huh.
So my father and his friend pretended that they were brothers, bought the last name of Chinn, came to the United States, of course, they were integrated,
Angel Island.
yeah, Angel Island. If you're technically brothers, they'll separate you, ask you the same questions about your village, and has to match. To this day, my father said that he didn't mess up, is his friend. So, but because one of them messed up, they were put in detention, probably going to get sent back. But I think my dad and his friend hired a lawyer, and they put some money at the table, and they got to live in the United States. Shortly after, my dad actually volunteered for the Army, the U.S. Army. He fought in the Korean War, and I said, "Oh, Dad, they treated you and your friend right out the bat like garbage. Why are you gonna serve in the U.S. military?" He said, "Because when he was in China, when Japan had invaded China, he saw the U.S. planes flying over, and they dropped off care packages. So it's his way of paying back." But of course, because you had mentioned about looking at photos.
Yeah.
So I saw a photo of his platoon. He was the only Chinese guy there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big group shot. He said, "Wow, was it pretty rough for you, Dad?" Because, Chinese parents don't really share, even if you ask them. But I guess when we get older, they share more. So my dad said, "Yeah, my sergeant actually never called me by my name." I go, "What'd he call you?" He said, "My sergeant called me One Hung Lo."
Wow.
Yeah, that never called him by his name. So I said, "Oh boy." So I said, "Well, yeah, how'd you take that?" He goes, "Well, my father just kind of laughed it off, because he had to do whatever you have to do to cope." He said that when he was training in Georgia, they of course had white and colored. Because he fit neither. He was bunched up with the African American people. So some of his closest friends were all African American because he spent a lot of time with them. So yeah. So, and then of course fighting in the Korean War, and you're Asian.
Yeah.
I think you had to wear something that said, "I'm not Korean," or whatever.
No,
So you can get killed.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it goes, the further you go back, the more dangerous it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I understand that instance on the first day of high school was very painful for you. But I'm curious if you have maybe another maybe mellower story that you can share, because I'm curious about what that bullying experience actually feels like in its everyday experience terms, besides just you feeling painful, alienated, and those kind of like very gross level descriptions. Do you have a story, for example, about the bullying experience from
I think there's one that probably you experienced the same thing. I was in junior high school, and I was going down a part outside of the school, and there are these two white boys. They confronted me, and they said, "Jing Chong Chinaman, why don't you go back and sit on that roof up there with your slanty eyes," or whatever. And then they were gonna, beat me up, whatever. But I just kind of ran, and because my mom knew about the bullying, but she told me, "If I ever catch you in a fight, you're gonna get in trouble."
Wow.
Even though I want to fight back, but you can't, because it's, you might get in worse trouble, even though you didn't start it. Well, technically, if you throw the first punch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a form of self-defense, is running away. Actually, my former Wing Chun teacher said, if you get into a situation, fight. My good one said, "Don't ever try to use what I'm teaching you, because it's not going to get you in a good place. It might get you into jail, whatever. If you can, do the peaceful route, because even if you're going to, or you're right at the present time encountering a big bad situation, you're probably never going to see that person
No.
ever again.
No.
It's just at that moment. So there's a memorable moment that I experienced after learning what Wing Chun Kung Fu. Is it okay if I share?
That is how it's a little bit.
Okay, so we were at that Burger King in the Westlake shopping area.
Mm-hmm.
They had just remodeled it. I have no idea why, but my wife and I went to the new remodeled Burger King. So we had ordered our meals, and then she sat down and said, "Jeff, can you go get some napkins?" So I said, "All right." So I get up to get the napkins, and there was a African-American lady that was right by the napkins, but she had put 2 of her drinks in front of the napkins. So I had to kind of wait for her to finish. And then when she finished, she moved the drinks, and I got my napkins, and all of a sudden I heard behind me, "Hey, I saw what you did." I go, "What'd I do?" He goes, "You disrespected my mom." I go, "How?" He said, "I saw you reach over her and grab the napkins, because there's a black lady and her 20-something-year-old son with a lot of testosterone." He said, "Well, you know what I'm going to do to you, chink? I'm going to knock your head in." So I said, "Okay, remember, I'm not inspired by Christianity, but I'm inspired by my new teacher. Okay, use your teachings." So he kept calling me every racial slur and threatening me, and that kind of brought me back, saying, "Okay, I haven't heard that in a long time." So you know what my defense was? Just pretend that I don't speak English. Because when you don't react, then the bully said,
No.
"What?" He goes, I'm calling you a effing chink or whatever. How come you're not doing anything?" So just, that was my defense, just kind of.
No.
So then finally, the person behind the counter said, "Hey, don't threaten our other customers like that." So then the guy went over to them and said, "Oh yeah? Well, you better shut up." And they said, "Well, we're going to call the cops." And then he said, "If you call the cops, I'm going to jump over the counter and whatever." So while this was happening, I grabbed my napkins and I went back the other way with my wife. And because she was a distance away, she goes, "What was going on there? I mean, what was the guy yelling and whatever?" And I just told her. And then finally, the mother, who actually didn't diffuse the situation. Remember when the son said, "You just disrespect my mom?" She actually said, "Yeah, that Chinaman reached over me without regard or whatever." But finally, she knew that the son would get thrown in jail or whatever. So she goes, "Hurry up, son. Let's get out of here." So I always use that Burger King incident in terms of, not losing your temper despite all these pricks,
Was it hard?
Actually, it was not that hard when I said to myself, "Okay, I'll just pretend that I don't speak English."
Yeah.
Right?
It reminds me of a strategy. It's like in Enter the Dragon when the guy from New Zealand, I think,
Oh, yeah.
is bullying him on the boat and he's trying to mess with him and he lets him out on the boat and he has the skills to physically fight.
Right.
But he uses an alternative strategy to just move on and live another day.
Yeah. And then, no one got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy got soaking wet or whatever. But John, I'm sure you remember the phrase that Bruce Lee used before he first got on the boat. The guy said, "What's your style?" He goes, "You could call it the art of fighting without fighting."
Yes.
Right?
And you displayed this.
Yeah. That's I'm glad you pointed that out. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Because like you're saying, and I think it applies in school, and this is, I think, a problem is it applies in school and in adult life, is you could be bullied all the time, you could be the victim, but if you fight back, the administration can punish you.
Right.
You could be punished and they could be seen as the victim.
right.
And the same thing with getting arrested is you could beat this guy up, do all this. It's better to have the skills, but you could beat this guy up you could get beat up, you could still go to jail. It's not good.
Yeah, it depends on whose cell phone had the correct angle. So my sifu said, if you ever have to use it, right after you use it, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Don't stick around because
That's solid advice.
you have all these witnesses that come out and say, yeah, I saw it from my window.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
What would be your current advice to students who are still being bullied in school because of their race?
I guess be proud of who you are, because bullies are just basically trying to belittle you to make them look stronger. I mean, it goes back to like, the caveman theory or whatever. But you probably think to yourself that their childhood was probably bad too. Maybe have racist dad or mom, whatever. This is what they grew up with. That's all they know. They were probably bullied. So sometimes bullies like to bully others. So that's part of their therapy. But I think it just continues the cycle of abuse. Needs to stop somewhere. But everyone's human. Everyone has their own way of thinking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because my son and daughter told me honestly that they've never been any racial slurs or whatever has been ever used against them. But of course they grew up in the Sunset District. Yeah, and then I think but it's still out there. I think with the current climate that we live in, Donald Trump is bringing the worst out, and people are now emboldened to say bad stuff. You guys ever see that video at Costco?
No.
Okay, it was a Chinese guy pumping gas at Costco gas station, and there's this white truck that pulls up, and he actually has on the side of his truck Trump or whatever, and then the white guy comes out and then calls the Chinese guy. He's going, you Chinn, go back to China. And then guess what? That chink was born here, very Americanized, and had a bad attitude, and said, "What did you effing call me?" And then that white guy started cowering because they use bullying to make themselves look bigger. But the person fights back, then they don't know what to do. So the guy hopped back into his truck, and he took off.
Yeah.
So I said, all right.
Yeah. Here's where some aggression.
Yeah.
But this sounds like a positive story about being confrontational.
Yeah.
Right? Paying off.
Yeah. So
what's the I guess the best strategy?
best strategy.
What would Bruce Lee do?
What Bruce Lee do? I'm pretty sure that he would try to emphasize what he taught in Enter the Dragon, the art of fighting without fighting. If Bruce Lee didn't believe in this, why would he put this in a very crucial scene in the movie? I mean, is an action movie, it's fighting and everything, but to have that in there was quite special. Very, very, very powerful homage. Actually, one of my favorite scenes in there.
I'm curious, your reasons for not studying martial art until the age of 44, especially during the school years when bullying was rampant. Was it because you were parenting? Your mom said don't fight back, so you didn't feel encouraged to actually pick martial arts up?
All right. So one thing that was very important about Bruce Lee was his body, his physique. So at that time, when I was younger, I couldn't practice official kung fu lessons. So I said, all right, I will try to look like Bruce Lee. So I'm sure you saw in The Way of the Dragon, before he kicks Chuck Norris's butt, he flexes his lats. Well, I really built up my lats, and I actually have a photo of myself when I was 21. You guys want to see it?
No, of course.
Okay. So this is him as flexing his lats. And then this is me when I
Look at
was,
this guy.
when I was 20.
That must have taken a lot of work.
Yeah, lots and lots of pull-ups.
Wow.
Yeah. So, do you know what inspired me in terms of physical fitness? When I was a junior in high school, I read an article where Bruce Lee was quoted in saying, "I want to be the fittest 50-year-old in the entire world." Of course, he never made it that far because he died at 32. So as a junior in high school, I said, okay, I will honor Bruce Lee by being fit. So I said, okay, well, 21 here, to hit 50, that's going to be many years to come. So when I turned 50, I said, okay, pretty good. But then, your body starts to ache or whatever. But, what was the quote now? 60 is a new 50, whatever, I'm almost 65. And you guys want to know how I honor Bruce Lee every week in terms of physical fitness? Twice a week, I will do 12 pull-ups, full pull-ups. And why people say, why 12? Because I was 12 years old when I saw my first Bruce Lee movie. In the beginning, it was hard because I would hit like 9 or 10. And I said, wow, because pull-ups is literally lifting your body weight. And when you get older, you get heavier. So now I'm at the point where I could do 12 pretty easily. And it's every Wednesday and it's every Sunday. Sometimes I'm tempted to do like 13, but I said, okay, if I try to chance and do 13, maybe I might break something or pull something. So I keep it at 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you still keep in great shape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I said, in terms of not practicing martial arts, physical fitness to Bruce Lee was very important. And then that to me become important. Since you're talking about that, do you want to see my very first training
Yeah, of course. Please.
device?
Yes.
So when Bruce Lee did the first movie, Fist of Fury, or The Big Boss, you could see that he didn't flex his biceps. He always flexes his forearms. So I said, all right, I'm going to exercise my forearms, because I heard from Bruce Lee biographies that he became a forearm fanatic. So my very first device was right here. Very, very simple, a basic hand grip.
Yeah.
So then after I used the hand grip, then I made this device. So this is like a hammer thing. How we just kind of do that to build up.
Look at it. We still got, look at the,
Yeah. So
wow.
and I actually bought this when we first moved to Daly City. Yeah. Working out was actually part of therapy. And because these were plastic weights with cement on the inside, most of them cracked. But this one is my only remnants of the weights that I use. But this is the original weights. Yes.
Did it help you feel more confident?
Yeah. Because I think even to bullies, being physically fit is a form of gaining respect. Because they could see that you could run fast or jump whatever. They say, okay, I actually respect it. I mean, there's no guarantee you're going to be respected, but that's one level that you could kind of gain a form of respect. And the very first thing that I did in terms of physical fitness was running. Because in 1974, I read in the biography, Bruce Lee considered running the king of exercises. So I started running. Of course, it was just on a track in high school, or high school track field. So I would run, and then to the point where when we had PE, my teacher would say, "Wow, Jeff is beating everyone." So he would pull me aside and said, "Jeff, I want you to join the cross country and track team." So then I did, and then So that became another form of physical fitness. But I ran so much that my knees are starting to give out now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you choose your outfit back in the school days in a way that shows your forearm or the lats?
Well, you can't really show up your last because unless you wear like a tank top or whatever, but then they're not gonna let you wear that.
That is okay.
But at that time, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if you ever look at Bruce Lee, his forearms were pretty massive. Yeah, and then he had long arms too.
A question about the Bruce Lee's impact on people's lives. Just now, John shared his experience, which has so many similarities with yours. How often do you hear this kind of stories? People coming to you and share similar kind of experience and their Bruce Lee's impact.
You mean during my tour?
Yes.
Yeah,
tours or just general in your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, not that many, because I think people generally do not like to talk about it. But once in a while, I'll hear someone say, "Yeah, I grew up here, and I really never forgot those incidences." And some of them actually said that because Bruce Lee was there, it got them out of a lot of beatings. Because all you have to just say is just kind of say, "Well, Bruce Lee was related to me." They go, yeah.
Do you think you haven't heard that many of these kind of stories because of a scarcity of bullying or scarcity of bully people looking up to Bruce Lee for inspiration?
Okay, so we're, like I said, we're all different. Quite a few people have given me the impression, just get over it. Why you keep thinking of this? Why is it that important to you? To some of us, it might not be that important, but to many of us, it is important. And so that's why I'm not going to look at them and say, okay, you're not concentrating on this, but I am. Yeah.
Did you set all these up?
Yeah, so that's Bruce Lee demonstrating his famous 1-inch punch.
Yes.
And of course, I had him doing it on a very extreme level where he punches the first guy, which happens to be, of course, Chuck Norris.
Yes.
And everyone else falls like dominoes. But I tried to do it so that they're all martial artists, because we have a Ninja Turtle, a Power Ranger, Kung Fu Panda here, Cobra Kai. Yeah, they're all here, but they're all getting it from Bruce Lee.
Who's the one behind Chuck? Is that Bob Wall?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
remember he hit the board and
Yes,
the board. Yeah, so I have that, and then I have Karate Kid turning bad. Mr. Miyagi. I have a play school figure. Yeah, lots of different things.
And I know you said your favorite is your poster, right? The original poster. But what are some other? Do you have other favorites or?
Yeah, I mean, I have, you want to know what my prize item is?
Yes.
Is the suit that Bruce Lee wore in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual suit.
Wow.
So, so my wife and I had gone to a Bruce Lee auction in Beverly Hills. This is my original bidder card. And this was in 1993. And just to let you know, they had 4 suits from Enter the Dragon. Planet Hollywood was the winner of 3 out of the 4. I somehow outbid Planet Hollywood for the best one, which was the blue suit. To this day, I still have no reasoning how I could have beat Hollywood. From my heart, I think it's Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
That said that, okay, Jeff is,
you get the prime.
Yeah, Jeff is doing so much for me. I don't want that suit in a greasy
Yeah.
So so I actually wore, okay, so this is the suit that he wore. That's the suit.
Yeah.
It's from the most famous scene.
Yeah, the moon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all the glory. So that's Bruce Lee wearing it. So I actually wore it too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can see that it fit me
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
The only part that didn't fit was his neck, because the top button was very hard to put on because Bruce Lee was only 125 pounds
Yeah.
when he did Enter the Dragon. So I had to kind of suck in my neck and then do that. And my wife took a lot of photos. And I'm about an inch taller than Bruce, so I had to pull the pants down.
How did it feel wearing it?
Okay, so when I put on the jacket, it was like, wow. Whew. When I put on the pants, I had all these goosebumps. I said, whoa, and then once I got it on, then, it was like those few minutes where I had it on was like unforgettable. So being the owner of such an item, we had a lot of visitors that wanted to touch the suit, hold the suit, whatever. So finally, the last straw is when someone tried to smell the suit, and I said, this is pretty bad. So it's about preservation.
Yeah.
Because the suit was made out of silk. I mean, it's something that's not going to last forever. So I put it in an acid-free box for about a year, and then I got a call from Warner Brothers in 1997, and they said, Jeff, we heard that you are the owner of the Enter the Dragon suit. Can we please borrow it? And I go, borrow it? I go, first of all, is this a crank call? Because if you're truly Warner Brothers, shouldn't you have a single thing from Enter the Dragon? The guy on the phone was very embarrassed. He said, at that time in 1973, we just thought of Bruce Lee as your run-of-the-mill kung fu star. Never saved a single thing. So now they opened up the Warner Brothers Museum, and they want to have a section to honor the heroes of Warner Brothers. So my wife and I got a free tour there, and then I said, this place is perfect. That way I can share the suit, and it would be safe. So guess how long Warner Brothers had the suit for?
How long?
15 years.
Wow.
So some people might say, Jeff, don't you miss the suit? And I would say, well, I actually wore it twice.
Yeah.
So after 15 years, guess who got the suit? The Smithsonian.
Wow.
So
For how long?
even though it was only for 6 months, it was a true honor just to have it at the Smithsonian, because collectors will pay just to get their stuff displayed there. So after that, half a year, guess where the suit went? To the Academy of Motion Picture Museum in Los Angeles, which is a big modern museum, and they want to honor Asian Americans in Hollywood, and of course, who else but Bruce Lee. So here's a picture of me and Shannon when we were at the grand opening of the Academy Museum with our little Bruce Lee display. And my wife and I, at the grand opening, got to walk on the red carpet.
So cool.
It is probably the first and only time we ever get to walk on the red carpet. Yes.
Mm.
And then here's the brochure from the Academy Museum. Isn't it kind of neat to see Bruce Lee, Spike Lee, and Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz in one row here?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yes.
So the suits had quite a tour.
Yes.
Where is it now?
Is in storage at the Academy Museum in case they want to bring it back out.
Wow.
But here's the grand opening of the Warner Brothers Museum back in 1998. So Bruce's daughter was also there, Shannon. And do you recognize her?
Is she the one in Enter the Dragon?
Yes, she's the one that went to every room and
Yeah.
said, pick one.
Yeah. Pick one.
Yeah, so she was also
Wow.
there. And so at Warner Brothers, since they had it there for 15 years, they had to, 1 year jacket, 1 year the pants. So that way they can let it rest. So after I loaned it to them, they asked me, do I want the mannequins? So I said, all right. So I kept my fingers crossed. I hope it's going to fit in my room. So
Wow.
that's the mannequin for the jacket. I mean, it fit exactly.
Yeah.
We had this open space here and just slid there
Wow.
like a puzzle piece. And then we have the pant display right over here.
Wow.
So I'm very lucky that I have quite a bit of room. And this is the shot at the Smithsonian.
Wow.
They actually gave me the mannequin too. So you see that big white box over there that kind of looks like a
Oh yeah.
refrigerator?
Yeah.
Well, that's the mannequin.
That's the mannequin for
the
wow.
Smithsonian. The Academy Museum did not offer me the mannequin. If they did, I would know where I would put it. So,
No.
yeah.
Wow.
And then also part of my contract for Warner Brothers, because they couldn't pay me. So I said, okay, if you can't pay me, can you give me some photos? So my contract says for every year that I loan to Warner Brothers, I will get 10 photos from the original negatives.
Wow.
So 10 times 15, that's 150 photos. So when I got the photos, I told them 11 by 14, not 8 by 10, and I want them full frame. So I have 150 full framed Enter the Dragon photos
Wow.
from the original negatives.
And let me ask you, Jeff, what's your favorite Bruce Lee movie?
My favorite Bruce Lee movie is The Way of the Dragon,
Mm.
not Return of
Yeah.
the Dragon, because the plot of the movie is that Bruce Lee goes to Rome to help out his Chinese relatives against the Italian mafia. That was part of the charm of the movie, that the Italians couldn't understand the Chinese and vice versa, which is why they had that goofy-looking translator. Bruce Lee knew that it could not be released and dubbed in the United States, so he held on to it until after he died. His wife, Linda, needed the money, so she sold the rights to The Way of the Dragon to an American movie company, and they dubbed it and called it Return of the Dragon because it was billed as the sequel to Enter the Dragon, which it was not. Way of the Dragon is not only my favorite movie, but is also Linda's favorite movie. And I asked her why. She said, because my husband wrote, produced, choreographed, directed, and starred in this movie. Return of the Dragon, the dub version, is one of my worst because of the fact that they dubbed it. Now everyone speaks English.
No.
So they chopped out about 1/8 of the movie, and what remains kind of make Bruce Lee look kind of stupid. So yeah, so if you're going to watch this version, watch The Way of the Dragon.
And what's your favorite movie in general? Or is that it?
Yeah, this is it.
Okay.
A lot of people say Enter the Dragon because technically Enter the Dragon was their first
Yeah.
Bruce Lee movie because they did not see Fist of Fury and The Chinese Connection because these are smaller movies.
Yeah.
This one came out and then everyone saw this.
Yeah.
So that became the first. But I think every movie has something special about it because a lot of people do not like Fist of Fury or The Big Boss because it was his first, because he didn't have his nunchucks. Basically didn't fight for the first 1/4 of the movie because he wore that pen.
No.
But I really like it because, okay, some people will watch Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back and say, okay, technically Empire Strikes Back is much superior. But in terms of heart and charm, whatever, the first one, because it's the first one for many. And of course, in the second movie, he introduced the nunchucks. And of course, we didn't have YouTube, the internet, whatever. So we trying to figure out through these blurry magazine photos how to construct a nunchuck because they did not sell them in the stores. And some of my friends got in trouble because they went and cut up a broom handle or a mop handle, and they got in trouble from their parents. My friends and I were smarter. We would pool our money, go to the local hardware store and get the longest piece of wood, divvy it out, cut it up. And then when we got more money, we would go get a long chain and cut that up. We kept arguing how many links in his movies, but every movie has a different length. So once we got the nunchuck constructed, we had two choices: paint it black or use electrical tape. I like electrical tape because once you chip it, it's going to have a big whatever. But the big problem is that many of us got hurt because we're trying to swing quickly like Bruce Lee. The two things that we got hurt was the back of our head and our elbow.
Yeah.
So they actually made it a felony to own a nunchuck. I think it was in late 74 because of what was happening to the kids. And they did not have full foam rubber nunchucks back then. Plastic ones, yeah, it was all real. I think the most dangerous is that one of my friends said, well, when we make our nunchucks, it doesn't look like Bruce Lee because it doesn't have the rounded tip. So one of my friends actually bought 2 steel ball bearings and taped it to the end. So when he was swinging it, I mean, if that hit you, you would have got killed. Yeah.
Jeff, what's your favorite film among those in which we can see Bruce Lee's influences?
Okay, so I think, personally, in terms of his influence would be the Way of the Dragon. Because it's very symbolic that Bruce was fighting non-Chinese. And then just to visually see that, it kind of brings you back into like racism, whatever. I go, okay. Yeah, because in the other ones, he's fighting other Asians. But that gets to be kind of comical because I would ask my black friends, I go, okay, this is the first movie where Bruce Lee is being a black guy. How do you feel? Most of them said, that's a true honor to see one of us get beat up by Bruce Lee. That's a true honor. To me, for the total movie, it is Way of the Dragon because some of these have really slow points in the film. Enter the Dragon is important because it actually has Bruce's real voice. The other ones were filmed silent and then they dubbed in another person doing Bruce's lines because he did not speak Mandarin. Mandarin was very popular during that time. So when you see the original Chinese versions, it's not even Bruce's voice. So this actually has his real voice, but his lines on Enter the Dragon was not that great. I mean, you will see in the beginning, and all of a sudden there's like a whole chunk of the movie where he doesn't say a single thing until the very end. But that was just like 2 sentences. But, do people watch it for him talking or for the fighting?
No.
Earlier I meant amount of films that were influenced subsequently by Bruce Lee.
Oh.
Yeah. Which one is your favorite?
To be honest, I don't like the copycats because they have a lot of those Bruce Lee lookalikes that came out just to exploit Bruce's name to make money. I really like Jackie Chan's earlier films, Snake and the Eagle's Shadow, Drunken Master, because he did not want to be a clone of Bruce Lee. He did the opposite of what Bruce Lee did, and that was, to me, very refreshing, because how could me, a big Bruce Lee fan, love a Jackie Chan movie? Because it was something different and creative. And I really like that Jackie Chan honors the legacy of Bruce Lee, because when Bruce Lee passed away, several people who knew Bruce Lee started to badmouth him, including Chuck Norris. Because I saw Chuck Norris on an interview in Conan O'Brien, and Conan O'Brien, of course, brought out the fight that Bruce had with Chuck at the Roman Coliseum. And Chuck basically said, well, that's movie fighting. I happen to be the U.S. karate champion, and ended it at that, which basically badmouths Bruce Lee. But whenever you see Jackie Chan talk about Bruce Lee, it is always positive, always thanking him for using him in his movies. Because a lot of people did not know that in Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee kills Jackie Chan 3 times.
Yeah, and Jackie Chan said he was very nice.
Yeah.
Bruce was very nice to him.
Yeah.
On the set, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, once a person dies, then they can't talk back. So you could basically say, okay, well, look at me now, right?
No.
So it's very respectful, and I think it's all about respect. Yeah. even though they're starting to find out stuff about Jackie Chan that's not very flattering.
No.
Yeah, that he has a second child out of wedlock from you probably heard that.
No. Yep. Yep. Jeff, let me ask you, do you ever get tired of talking about Bruce?
No, because all right, so my wife will probably tell you that I'm a introvert. I don't like to talk. But when I talk about Bruce Lee is something very natural for me. And I've been a tour guide for over 3 years, and it actually helps me in terms of speaking. Yeah, my wife said, yeah, people seem to understand you more now, Jeff. I said, yeah, because I'm talking, talking. Because I grew up with a speech impediment. It was a very severe stutter, and it took me forever to overcome that. I mean, I still have it, but now I learn to relax, talk about something that comes out naturally, and this is
Wow. I could not see a single
Yeah.
trace of that.
Yeah.
Until you.
Had no idea.
but it does come out. And what inspired me in terms of Bruce Lee regarding this is that Bruce Lee had a severe stutter too.
I didn't know
A
that.
lot of people do not know, because when he speaks, it's like flowing. Flawless. One time, here's a very unique story. One time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was Bruce's friend, introduced Bruce to Kareem's friend, who happened to have a stutter. Bruce Lee didn't know this and thought the guy was making fun of him.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
So in the beginning, Bruce thought, why did you tell him that I have a stutter? That's why he's mocking me. And then Kareem said, no, my friend actually stutters. And then after then Bruce felt better, and they're hugging each other. So yeah, I mean, you see, these things about being human, that everyone is human. Everyone has qualities that are not perfect, and also Bruce Lee had very bad eyesight too, because I wore glasses for the longest time, and one time when we had an exhibit at the Chinese Culture Center, Linda had brought Bruce's glasses, and I said, "Wow, they're thick."
Wow.
And then she said, "Yeah, a lot of people did not know that he wore glasses. He wore contacts." And then that's the most natural thing. But when he was doing The Big Boss, I heard that because they were hard, that one about popped out, and they're all looking for it. Nowadays, you like a whole year's supply. Back then, you only had two. If it popped out or got damaged or whatever, you're in big trouble.
Do you know Linda's husband?
You mean Bruce?
No. Is her current husband?
Yeah, Bruce.
Does he get tired of people asking her about Bruce Lee?
All right, so once in a while when we go to Bruce Lee functions, whatever, I could see that the husband just kind of stands on the side and very quiet. So my wife and I make it a point to go talk with him, because no one's going to talk with him. And, of course, he's not going to say it, but you could tell by the body language and whatever. But I think he probably knew that this was coming.
Yeah. I mean, if you're marrying Bruce Lee's wife, then people are going to ask. But I just imagined, people are always asking my wife about her ex or her former husband, So.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it's, well, I'm glad you asked that, because pretty sure people are curious.
No. Yeah.
Jeff, I'm curious, Bruce Lee's influences on you, if any, in your adulthood after you leave the school life of.
Well, I mean, in terms of physical fitness, practicing martial arts now. Okay, of course, I'm retired now. I advise to people, when you retire, find something that brings you both joy and purpose. So, of course, this for me brings me both. And it's something that I look forward to, especially when I go to CHSA. because every Wednesday and every Saturday, I have no idea who am I going to meet. And it's, really exciting meeting other people from all over the world. And it's not just one way, because we're all learning from each other, because of course they'll sometimes open up, share their experience. And many times I have to thank them and say, thank you for sharing your life story too. Because sometimes people are very private, don't want to share it until something causes it to come out. So because of me sharing, then they'll share. And so it's like, some people think when you get older, you retire, then you're just gonna shut down, just kick back, watch TV, eat, sleep, watch more TV or whatever. But yeah, just keep busy. But like I said, find something that brings you joy and purpose. Because if you don't, then it'll be just like a chore.
What about during your career? Did you encounter something like discrimination, bamboozling, these kind of things? And was Bruce Lee also? Yeah.
Let's see. So did I tell you guys that I was a mail carrier?
I'm aware of that.
Oh,
Through
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah, so I was a mail carrier for almost 33 years.
wow.
And my route was in Daly City, the city that I was picked
Yeah.
in. So here's something quite interesting. The mail carrier that delivered to our neighborhood loved that route, the mail route. He would not retire and get out there. Finally, when he retired, I bid on it, but this other guy with more seniority got it. For some reason, after 3 months, he didn't like it, so he got off. I said, I'm going to bid again. So I got it. And then people ask me, doesn't this bring back bad memories? You're basically delivering to the house you lived in. Why would you do that? So this is what I tell them. It's kind of like being there and saying, okay, now I get to go. So, sometimes you have to face it and then, just leave it there. And it is also kind of weird, but it's also kind of like my part of
Healing.
therapy.
Yeah, you mentioned therapy. It seems like the fitness was a part of your therapy. Did you ever find, psychotherapy or talking to a therapist helpful, or was it just?
I think it probably wouldn't have helped if I went to a therapist because I'm very shy.
Yeah.
Probably would be very uncomfortable opening up. And so that would probably make the therapy session useless or whatever. So, so these little things that I do is part of that. And remember when my wife mentioned about me collecting some other things? Okay, you might say I'm kind of crazy for this, but for a few months, I went through my entire collection of everything, separated all the items that I owned before I moved. So I have maybe 3 or 4 boxes of these items, but it's like a time capsule that brings me back to that time. To some people, that might seem kind of crazy, but that's also part of it. And even when I go to my parents' house, they'll say, Jeff, I'm going to dump this. I go, no, this is
No.
from that childhood.
No.
They go, you want to keep that? And I said, yeah. So
You want to preserve the thing.
yeah. I mean, to others, it might be worthless, whatever, but it's just something that I like to hold. Because it takes me back.
So if there were a natural disaster, a fire, and your family was safe and you had to come in here, what would be the thing?
Oh, you mean like the one thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So of course, because the blue suit is not here, no disturb. So I kind of tell people that if I were to have a fire, the one stack of things that I would grab are the newspaper clippings that I cut out when I was a little boy, when all the Bruce Lee movies, all the movie reviews all came out, because those are a time capsule of the time spent with my father watching all those Kung Fu movies. Because people will say, well, can't you just go on eBay and find those old newspapers? I go, no, these are cut on my own hand, put in a scrapbook, and yeah, those can never be replaced. So I mean, old newspaper clippings, it's basically useless, but
But they mean something.
yeah. So that's why when you ask about pulling something, if there's a fire,
Yeah.
those would be it. And I actually keep them in a fireproof safe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, the newspaper clippings.
Would you agree that there's a recent revival in the interest of Bruce Lee in the last decade or so?
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes it's not very direct. Like I'm sure you heard the show called Warrior. Is loosely based on two sheets of paper that Bruce Lee had wrote of a kind of rough idea for something. So Shannon took those 2 sheets of paper, hired some screenwriters, and create the show Warrior, which actually lasted three seasons. I mean, my wife and I actually saw the first season. We binge watched it because someone had advised us. He said, yeah, some of the stars of Warrior might come to the museum. You better brush up somewhat on the show. So when we saw it, this is our conclusion of what we thought of the show. It's basically sex and violence with Asians.
Yeah.
Just over and over again. The tone is quite dark, but what I like is that during the credits, it will say from the writings of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
For some people that have never seen a Bruce Lee movie who like the show might say, okay, maybe I'll check out a Bruce Lee movie. And of course, as a Chinese American, to see the racism and the struggle that's depicted in those shows, that also is something I think is beyond the sex and whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty sex environment filled show.
Yeah.
I asked that question with this, I guess, the political climate and societal context in mind, like COVID and recent administration, etc. And when Jeff Chang explained why he was writing his book the way he did, he also pitched that in that kind of context. So that's why I have this kind of impression that this seems to be a revival. And there's also like a flurry of people coming to reinterpret or trying to put things into right context as they see fit. Would you agree that's the right impression? And how do you see this kind of new phenomenon?
Yeah, so so of course in the old days, the interest in Chinese American history was not that great, even for Chinese people. I think, of course, now people want to know what happened during that time. And then that gives, the aspect of the history of Chinese Americans more accepted, more, wanted for people to learn. So it's good that Jeff Chang incorporates this into his book. And like I said before, is from an Asian American perspective. And Jeff Chang really goes deep into this. And we're actually going to have a book talk on Saturday for Jeff Chang's book. He's going to be there with the book and everything.
You're going to be there too?
Yeah. So he also wants me to be up there with him. I don't have to tell him that, I only read like the first 2 chapters. But I've actually done the first 2 chapters and the event Saturday, so I'm going to have to speed read.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like eating rich food. You cannot eat it quickly.
Yeah.
Just a little. I mean, Jeff writes with quality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like every paragraph you could tell that he really puts a lot into it. So yeah.
Wow. Not an airport book that you could just binge read.
No, and then I think it's not exploitive too.
No.
A lot of the other ones are, like clickbait, sensational stories of Bruce Lee, and just to get people to read it. But yeah,
So you was right, Jeff?
Yeah, I was actually, since you mentioned that.
No.
So I was the contributing editor for Inside Kung Fu magazine. I wrote a Bruce Lee column called Peace of the Dragon.
Wow.
So this was the heading of my column. And then I got to thinking, I go, hey, how come everyone else gets a headshot of themselves? And my editor said, well, you got Bruce Lee here. So I said, well, can you put me? So the next one,
Nice.
he had a picture of Bruce Lee with glasses.
Nice.
Well, that's not me. And
Yeah.
my editor said, well, I'm not a magician. You had to send me a photo. So I sent a photo of me wearing the or here. But that only lasted for one issue. And then it went back to Bruce Lee. But then after that, after more complaining, then it got to me again. So
Wow.
yeah.
So you had to fight for your...
Yeah. Okay, so you want to know how I got the job?
Yes.
Okay, so I went to a movie convention in Los Angeles because we were on vacation in Los Angeles, and the guy that played the Green Hornet was going to be there. So I said, okay. I asked Julie, can you take care of the kids and just drop me off? So I was there, and then the editor of Inside Kung Fu happened to be there too. And then I told him about my collection, and he goes, Jeff, this is a pretty good timing. Would you like to be the columnist for our new Bruce Lee collectors column? And I said, well, I didn't, I'm not a journalist. I never wrote, the only thing I ever wrote about Bruce Lee was a book report, and I got like a B-. So he goes, well, why don't you write something, send it to me, and then I'll be the judge of that. So I just wrote a very simple but heartfelt story of my experience growing up in Chinatown, going to my grandparents' house, going to shop the stores for the Bruce Lee magazines and whatnot. And I submitted to him, and then I didn't get a response. And then my wife, Julie, said, yeah, he probably really liked it, right? So then she said, well, don't be so antsy. Why don't you just call him? I said, well, that's long distance, costs money. So finally I said, okay, I'll just give him a quick call. So I said, hey, Dave, did you get my article that I wrote? He actually said, oh, yeah, we actually got it. Sorry, I've been very busy, but here's your schedule. I go, what do you mean my schedule? He goes, I'm going to have you as our monthly columnist for the Bruce Lee column. And I said, wait, I go, I have 2 kids. I have a full-time job. I cannot write a monthly column. So he goes, okay. So we made a deal that I would do a bi-monthly column, which is every other month. And then I also do once in a while full articles on Bruce Lee. So guess who was my editor? It was Julie.
Wow.
My wife.
Very supportive.
All right. Those are some of the worst fights that we ever got, because she would say, are you crazy? She got a red pen, said, don't write this. So I said, but I think that's important. She goes, yeah. So I was the columnist for 7 years.
Wow.
After the 7 years, my editor said, Jeff, can you write something about yourself? I go, why? He goes, I'll tell you later. So I wrote something brief, and then he goes, congratulations, you are the Inside Kung Fu 2002 Hall of Fame Writer of the Year. And he said, Jeff, you're lucky because it's the first year that we're giving out plaques. So I said, okay, I dedicate half of this to Julie because she was my editor. Guess what happened? After I got the award, I got laid off from being the columnist. It's not because me and Julie didn't write well. It's because Shannon Lee hired lawyers and were basically targeting everyone that was using Bruce's image, and said, from now on, if you're going to write about Bruce Lee, you have to pay up.
Mm.
So they said,
Wow.
we cannot afford to
Yeah.
do it. So that was actually a blessing in disguise, because 7 years of writing really burnt me out to the point where I refused to write anything on Bruce Lee, because a lot of magazines and books want me to write. And I said, no. The only time I ever wrote after I was laid off was 3 memorials for some of Bruce's friends when they passed away. And I actually got a offer this morning, but I had to say the same thing.
Wow.
that I got burnt
You
out.
turned it all down.
Yeah, because this.
You got to save your marriage.
Yeah, because I know that is gonna
Yeah.
it up.
How did you meet Julie?
We met at church. At the. Are you guys familiar with the Salvation Army Church on Powell Street?
Hmm.
It's on Powell between Broadway and Green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually never knew that was a church. But when I was going to college, I met up with this girl, and she invited me there, and then I had joined. And then I remember this female there that I thought was kind of stuck up. And then, but finally I got the nerve to ask her out. And then, things clicked. And it's kind of a journey, because, of course, I was born in San Francisco. Guess where Julie was born?
New York City. Yeah.
No, Duluth, Minnesota.
Duluth.
Yeah. So I said, wow. I go, how'd you guys end up there?
Yeah.
She said, because when they moved here, the father wanted to have a Chinese restaurant. And so they were basically having a chop suey type restaurant that fed all the lumberjacks, whatever. But not only was all the people there white, but the snow was all white. So they said, we need to find somewhere warmer and more Chinese. So they chose North Beach, which is right by Chinatown. So they lived on Union Street. And
Wow.
so here's something that's kind of unique. On our first date, I told Julie that if we ever going to work out, can we move back to San Francisco? And she goes, why? So I would tell her why. So she was always very supportive of me. So our first house was a very dinky house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, which was also in the Sunset. But then when my son was born, we said we needed a bigger house. So we shopped around and we found this one. So,
Wow.
yep. So, like I said, Julie's one of the most supportive wives. She's, in fact, one of the few wives that ever attends any of these Bruce Lee things.
Yeah.
You always see people that said, do they even have a wife? Yeah, because they stay at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeff, I'm curious, besides Bruce Lee, do you have any other, I guess, formative experience you can think of that help you establish some confidence in being a Chinese American?
Besides Bruce Lee,
Yeah.
besides physical fitness, besides martial art, then I can't really think of anything. Because I always try to incorporate Chinese American history with Bruce Lee, with Kung Fu, with physical fitness, and try to make it as interesting as possible. I think, from giving so many tours, sometimes you have to go in that direction. Otherwise, people get bored. Or they said, you got to make it sound interesting. So since 2022, I've been tinkering with my tour, trying to refine it, trying to make it shorter here, a little bit more detailed here, to the point where Julie, who has been there since the first tours, once in a while will go with her friend and said, Jeff, wow, you sound like you really refined it. So, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I like your tour very much.
Oh, thank you.
I can see all the efforts put.
Yeah. And then it's like something that I don't even have to think of. I could do it basically in my sleep, because I'm basically sharing the same story over and over again, but it's with a different audience, and it hits a lot of people. And even just last Saturday, when I was giving a tour to this Chinese couple from China, both the husband and the wife both almost are tearing up towards my personal story.
That must feel good.
Yeah. I mean, it makes very because I knew I need to see this coming when I could see them wanting out. So it's not just females. Most of them are females, but sometimes guys too. Because Brit brings people back to their memories, and I guess some people never really try to think about it, but then it gets brought up in my tour, and then but a lot of them are glad that it makes their memories a little less painful.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the fact that mostly females behave that way is quite remarkable.
And then I think what was good is that during the tours, it's just not me about talking. It's about me learning from them. Is learning from each other. And I think sometimes the tour opens up people to share. And I learn from so many different people, and it's it just shows that it's something that's out there, that I'm not the only one that experiences. And it's been quite a journey, because from being the boy that went the biggest Bruce Lee collection in his 7th grade homeroom to this.
These days, besides Bruce Lee, what other things keep you busy?
Well,
Of course, the family.
So
But like side hobbies wise.
side hobby, Facebook. I mean, okay, so I don't watch TV like I used to. So Facebook is basically like my TV. Like, and then you get to click the channels by clicking on a different people, whatever. My daughter says, Facebook is for dinosaurs. She goes, why don't you go to like Instagram, whatever? I go, yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that Facebook is more friendly toward older people, because it's more simple. Instagram is like quick, there and gone. Facebook could be looked at over and over again.
Speaking of your daughter and your kids, I'm curious for them, what kind of formative experience they, if any, used to have established this kind of confidence and security with respect to being Chinese American. Do you know?
So for my son, okay, this is pretty ironic. He was not a good student, but as he matured, he figured out why. He said, I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm going to help out kids that have these similar problems. Being a teacher is not easy. One thing that's quite challenging is that every class has to have a handful of special needs students. Some of them are screamers or whatever, and for you to teach and being interrupted constantly makes it more difficult, and the pay is not that great. And of course, during parent-teacher conferences, you have a lot of parents that are mean. They say, how come you're not, paying attention? Yeah. So I really admire my son for being a teacher, which is not the easiest, but it is very inspiring that he does it, because he was a poor student and he wanted to help out others. And then my daughter, she's always been an artist, always drawing, whatever. But we never knew how good. She painted two of the hearts for SF General Hospital.
Wow.
She first started out with a tabletop heart. Then when she was in college, she wanted to ask if she could do the big 400-pound heart, because she was the youngest and no art studio. We had our basement, so I couldn't park the car there for like how many months. But it was used to, of course, it raised like $50,000 for as a general. And she also did the San Francisco library card.
Wow.
And she says that it's not people telling her to draw, whatever. If she gets that feeling, she'll do it. People will look at her library card and said, wow, Lori, looks like you were inspired by Peter Max. And she goes, who's Peter Max? So it's a famous artist from the 60s or 70s. And it's very comparable, but yeah, she did not copy Peter Max.
Wow.
And so that's her gift. And, as parents, you of course want to always nurture your children, figure out what their gifts are, and try to help them as best they can to use these gifts in maybe a job. And it doesn't help that San Francisco is the most expensive place to live. So as such, both Julie and I bought a house for my son and my daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And then some people will say, okay, don't you have to go through the traditional route that the children don't get anything until the parents pass away? I go, well, who wrote that? Because those that sternly follow this practice, the kids will move far away and never come back.
No.
Because they say, well, I can't live here. I can't afford it. You're not going to help me? And bye-bye. I'll see you on Thanksgiving or Christmas. So my daughter actually lives half a block away.
Wow.
And all right, so here's the ironic part. My son lives in Daly City, the city that I was picked on, but in the version of Daly City now, you will look on the internet. Daly City is like the most Asian city in the entire country, nicely. So we got my son's house when, when did the Giants win the first World Series?
2010. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
That was during the meltdown. All the houses were like, foreclosure, whatever. So we found a house that was regularly priced at $900,000 and we got it for $600,000.
Wow.
So we got that. And then for my daughter, that was crazy. My daughter and wife, because my daughter is very picky because she's an artist, she said the house has to look a certain way. When they saw the house, which is just around the corner, my daughter said, wow, I really like this house because it actually has 3 bedrooms and it's extended too, just like this one. But there were so many bidders because, we told her, we can't afford, we just bought your brother's house. Guess what happened? Our close friend, he's a real estate agent, really loves Lori and her art, knew the realtor selling the house. I went with him and both realtors talked to each other. He goes, okay, give me the information. He goes, the seller wants all cash, wants exactly this much. If he gets that is yours. So, okay. So we told Julie, and Julie's a CPA, and she's able to figure out everything. We got the cash, offered it, and we outbid all these people that bid higher, but they didn't know all cash. So yeah.
Wow.
So so my daughter still spends time with us. We'll go visit her and just walk. I still walk her home. As a father. And some people say, I wouldn't even live in the same state as my parents. How do you live around the corner? For some families, it works. It works for my family. And our family is very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And
Beautiful. Yeah, that's really lucky.
Yeah. I mean, we're very fortunate that we're able to pay for 2 separate houses.
I mean, I still think it says something about the relationship that you have with your kids.
Yeah.
They want to hang around you.
That we know that they want to hang around us. Actually, my daughter said when Julie and I are gone, hopefully her brother can move back here. Oh, wow. So they can all live close to each other. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, raising a family is complicated. I'm sure we know so many parents that said, I'm not going to give my kid a dime because I know his personality is Maya. So yeah.
Wow.
So we're very blessed that we're all very close, and of course trying to raise my grandson Levi to be also close to, because I think family is very important. And then for my parents, both are 92, but of course I become like a parent because feed them, change their diaper, walk them, whatever. Some people say, well, Jeff, that's a lot of work because 3 days a week, 14-hour days.
No.
Very tiring, but I do not want to give a bad example to my kids. Now I say, okay, well, my dad didn't lift a finger for his parents. So when I get old, why should I help? So kids will see what you do, and that's how they learn.
Mom.
What you do and what you don't do.
And your kids also have a good relationship with your parents.
Yes. So yeah.
Jeff, let me ask you a few questions before. These are questions that I ask everybody.
Yeah.
So I already got your favorite movie,
Okay.
Return of the Dragon.
No.
Or The Way of the Dragon.
Yes.
And then who do you think is the smartest person of all time?
Who's the smartest person of all time? In terms of what? Because
Well, part by your answer. Yeah.
okay. Smartest person of all time. Okay, this is kind of funny to say. It's actually not all time, but Bruce Lee is one because he thought out of the box, not just in terms of martial arts, because he would teach to non-Chinese when it was practice to only teach the Chinese. He also did movie making in a certain way that most people say, well, why you do it like that? And the way that he treated people. That was not the way that was done back then. Some people say that Bruce Lee was actually not a practicing civil rights leader, but he practiced in terms of how he treated people. So very forward in it and very advanced in those three aspects. And we have that video in CHSA where Bruce answers the question, are you Chinese or are you American? He said he considered himself a human being because he said under the sky, under the heavens, there's but one family. For him to say that in 1971 during a TV interview and the manner that he said it show how much of a special, smart, different person that Bruce Lee was.
And if you could meet anyone, would it be Bruce?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to, of course, thank him in person for all that he's given to me. Because even though I've never met him, I consider him almost like a family member.
No. Yeah. I can see.
Yeah.
And you know his family.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it's kind of funny, but some people who come here not really knowing the world of Bruce Lee collecting will ask me, well, how many Bruce Lee rooms has Linda visited? I said, one.
Yeah.
And first of all, most people do not have a Bruce Lee. So, yeah.
I think it's cool that you've gotten so much, but you've given so much. And it's been...
Yeah. I mean, it's like a cycle. I mean, it should be something natural, but, like I said, everyone's got their own way of thinking. And, it's something that will continue to bring pleasure and purpose to my life.
And then last question that I asked, how many times have you been in love, Jeff?
Well, before Julie, I had 2 short relationships. So I'm pretty sure that you can relate to this, John. In high school, were you able to go to the prom?
Yes.
Okay. I did not.
Oh.
Because, who would go out with me? Because I'm basically trying to hide.
No.
So in terms of that got stunted until college. And then I dated this girl who was actually the one that brought me to the Salvation Army.
Oh, yeah.
So we broke up shortly, and everyone thought that I was going to leave the church, but I stayed. And then, of course, met with Julie. And then, things happen for a reason. I mean, if I were stuck with that other girl,
Yeah.
just, it's like no complaints whatsoever. But no relationship is perfect. There's arguments galore, especially when we wrote that column. But yeah, it's just give and take. Sometimes you have to look where your spouse is coming from, because sometimes you become selfish that, like it's your world. And so
Wow.
yeah, it's just something that's continual, because I'm sure that, when you're at peace, sometimes an argument
Yeah.
comes up and you go, oh boy.
Honey, did you have any last question?
Curious these days, besides CHSA, Bruce Lee films, and advocating for this statute project in Chinatown, what other things are you doing along this theme?
Well, I'm doing podcasts.
Right, yes.
Actually, I did one like a month ago. Did you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's called Infatuation.
Mhm.
And, of course, I'm interviewed by different newspaper magazines. It's almost like every time I look at the email, I say, okay, what's next?
Wow.
The craziest thing that I've ever been on was a Japanese game show.
You were on a Japanese game show?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Right here. So, shortly after I bought the suit, I got a call from a guy with a heavy Japanese accent, and he said, I Fuji TV, I want suit. I go, what are you talking about? So they had a translator, and then he said, he wants to buy your Bruce Lee suit for this Japanese game show. And I said, well, it's not for sale. It's going to be in the Chinn family heirloom, whatever. He goes, well, the guy wants to give you more money than you paid for. I said, of course he wants to give you more money, but it's not going. So after some talking, he said, okay, why don't you pretend that the contestant gets the suit? We'll pretend and we'll worry about what happens later. So in the meantime, they sent a film crew to my house from Fuji TV, and the director looked at me and said, because he didn't speak English, he goes, you Bruce Lee? I go, what? So the translator said, he wants you to become Bruce Lee for the skit, whatever. So I dress up in a Kung Fu uniform, and then first scene, stand in front of your house like Bruce Lee. I go, what do you mean like Bruce Lee? He goes, like this. Yeah, okay. So people were driving by, go, what's going on here? So then, so we came here, we did a interview, and then we went to the backyard, and he said he wanted me to do some Bruce Lee moves. And he said, it's very simple. Swing the nunchuck, do a side kick, bend down, and then give that Bruce Lee look. I said, okay. So I did it, and then the director said something in Japanese, and I said, what did he say? The translator said, he said, you're too slow. So I said, well, first of all, you didn't tell me in advance that you want me to do this. I would have practiced. He goes, don't you practice every day? I go, no, I haven't swung a nunchuck since I was in high school. So then, I kept doing it. And then the guy said, too slow. So finally, you might be familiar with this technique because you use a camera, whatever. If you hold the camera right up to the guy, it'll be the illusion of speed. So he said, okay, good. So this is a screenshot, that I took of the TV of me swinging the nunchuck. And I just did like a little scrapbook here, but it showed like Bruce Lee, then a cable car, and then me. Okay, so here's the premise of the show. The show was called Magic Lamp. The premise is that a celebrity wishes for something, but they have to do a very difficult, crazy stunt, and the judges have to vote. So this guy was the silver medalist from the Olympics in gymnastics. So he, of course, wanted the suit. You know what the stunt that the guy had to do? He had to jump off an 8-story platform onto an air mattress and hit it dead center. It showed him practicing. He'll go like 10 feet, then 20 feet, and then the more it got higher, the more windy it looks. And then he's like this. So I don't know if they faked this, whatever, but it showed him back down. He's thinking in Japanese, I want the suit. So finally he got up to the 8 stories, and it almost looked like the guy behind him pushed him, but because he can't just do like a belly flop, so he got the turn. So he did it, and he goes, get the suit, but they have to vote. 5 judges. Yes, no, yes, no, and then commercial. So I find the 5th guy after the commercial said yes. So he got it. And then when I was on the set of the game show, I said, I'm glad that, you got it, and, everything that's going on, that, you don't really get it. And then he just kind of smiled and then shook my hand. And the producer said, Jeff, he don't speak English. So I said, okay. So after I was going to come back home, they said, Jeff, does your mom sew? I go, what does that have to do with anything? He goes, because we need a replica of the suit. So I said, well, that's not my problem. I got to go home. So they kind of blackmailed me. And they said, well, we're not going to give you the VHS tape of the show until you help us. So I said, okay. So they would send me swatches of loose silk and tell me, does this match whatever? I said, no. And they said, okay, in the meantime, put the suit flat on there, do an outline, and then send it to us. So I did. And they said, it kind of looks like a clown suit. I go, because it's silk. If you put it flat, it just kind of expands. So finally, I got tired of it. And I said, okay, this is the best match. Okay. And they sent me the tape. You'll never believe what happened. I never knew how the replica suit ended up looking like, if you got it or whatever, until decades later. I was looking on eBay. I was half asleep, and it says, Enter the Dragon suit. Okay. Clicked on, it said, this suit is the blue Enter the Dragon custom-made suit for a TV show, but was never given, or something like that. And the seller, his name was Roper, and the translator that translated, his last name was Roper. So somehow the translator's brother got the suit.
Wow.
And then I went to Julie. I said, Julie, should I buy the suit? She goes, yeah, because it said buy it now, $40.
Wow.
So I clicked on it, and then we got the suit. On the label, on the back, it said Western Costume Company, which is the company that supplies all the movies and all the TV shows for Hollywood. I researched, and I said, to get the custom-made suit like that probably costs at least $2,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I paid $7,000 for my real one.
Yeah.
So guess what? At CHSA, the blue suit on the mannequin, that's the replica.
Yeah. But that's such a great story.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
this came back to you.
I mean, yeah, it's like well, 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
Something like that would happen.
Wow.
But yeah, and then Julie started joking. Yeah, your collection seems to be paying off because you get free trips. Because when we went to Hong Kong, and loaned to the Hong Kong Heritage Museum, we got free trips, free hotel and everything. So she said, oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't support that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, it's been so amazing talking to you and
Yeah.
seeing the collection. And I want to thank you for.
Yeah. Well, you're very welcome, because it's about, sharing life experiences, trying to encourage and inspire others. Many of these memories will probably never leave me until the day that I'm gone. But I think that, it's always good to share some of these memories. Some of them are pretty entertaining, but sometimes some of them are very inspirational.
Yeah.
And it's, it all boils down to the simple fact that it's all about sharing and encouraging others.
I think you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
I hope you enjoyed the interview. It really means a lot that you took the time to watch it. Please hit that like and subscribe, and let me know who else I should interview in the comments. Thanks again.